Hello and welcome to Breakfast Central on a Friday, the final day in the week. And of course, it's the first week in the month, most importantly, the month of July.
Yeah,
and I mean, the year is fast running. A lot of things are happening in between. But then again, our job here is to ensure that we bring to you the latest stories, take you into every single part of the stories. Not just that, but dissect, bring out the key necessities, all the points that you need to know, and of course bring the biggest names to actually speak on these stories, not just speak, but find solutions if possible. I'm Joe Hansen saying good morning and welcome to Breakfast Central.
And I'm Gbenga on behalf of Olive Amodi and I, we welcome you to Breakfast Central this Friday morning. Olive is somewhere in the background making sure we have a bumper show. She also doubles sometimes as an executive producer, you know, those things you don't see on the set. She's putting finishing touches just because we always give you the best way to start your day right.
Gbenga, are you a politician?
No, but she does.
Okay.
She does. She's a nice person. I don't like saying bad things about people behind them.
Okay.
It's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. You're welcome to Breakfast Central. So many things to talk about yesterday. I remember Joe was itching for a reaction from APC that they're not going to say something about this coalition. As at the time we spoke, it was only Festus Keyamo that had reacted. But now you have a flurry of reaction, as they will say on the street, reaction choke. Yeah, so
choke, meaning that
we will be analyzing
it's
some of those reactions, and we have quite a lot in store for you today.
Absolutely.
So sit back, relax, grab your cup of coffee, and welcome.
That's right. So much. Anyway, let's start off with the reactions. I think we should go straight into it because it's one of the biggest stories from the political space, whether you like it or not. Like we said yesterday, you cannot go to sleep without having to talk about what's coming out from the political space in Nigeria. It's just barely 2 years plus of the current APC administration, and then they are already counting down to 2027. However, there were talks concerning who can unseat on the ruling party. But nobody did see a formidable team. Reasons? We have never seen a situation like this before in Nigeria, although, yes, we may have a few years past where prior to the elections, you'd have all political parties having internal crises and fracas, and, you know, going back and forth within themselves. It kind of like seems like what many have said, that it's basically like there's a mole that has been put inside all the parties to disrupt, ensure that they're disgruntled, and then nobody accepts what the basic party ideologies are. But then again, the shocker did come on Tuesday, and aside from that, prior to that, we did see the PDP try to put its house together, but it was back and forth, neither here nor there, until they decided to have their first meeting. And then they came out with this bragging rights to say, listen, we are still the party. But we thought that was all until we saw the launch of what happened 2 days back. But let's tell you quickly that the FCT Minister yesterday did have a media chat.
Yeah, we covered that live.
Yes. We did have our very own Felicity Ezenwike, who was there, and then also asked some of the very vital questions alongside other respected journalists too. But as usual, the FCT Minister used the platform and the medium, like he would always do, to address the nation and key issues in the polity as well. One of the things he talked about was that when he was asked, he spoke about the APC.
Coalition. He spoke about his former boss, the former governor, Rotimi Amechi. He had a lot to say about him, how he defeated him politically. And he said these are disgruntled Nigerians that they want power for the sake of power. And they should check their track record as executives, as people in high positions in government. What did they do? So it goes beyond, he said it's more than just wanting power and just assembling together, that they should not, that Nigerians should ask them questions and scrutinize them. I think it was, it was on the right path.
I agree. One of the things he highlighted in the whole conversation was that when he was asked about the coalition, you highlighted the key mentions or statements he made. He did say, check the track record. Secondly, he's also one of those who feel that this is a coalition of aggrieved former party members and friends of the current ruling party and the president. He did mention, let's not forget that it was former River State Governor Rotimi Amechi that also joined forces in forming the APC. And it pretty much seems like when things were not going his way, he doesn't have anything to offer, according to the statements being made. I mean, that's why he became a and then he had to move. So, if we look at the FCT Minister's statement, one would ordinarily wonder that, okay, what is he driving at? But that's not all. We did have a guest join us here yesterday. His name is Chief Dele Momodu. If you've been following closely, he never denies the fact that he's a publisher. He's been doing publishing from time immemorial. And he's never denied the fact that he was also part of the persons who fought for democracy one way or the other, because he had his hands equally involved by ensuring that... Struggle, exactly. But the FCT Minister yesterday pulled a string, and it was one that I couldn't help but, you know, laugh at. And when I say laugh, I don't mean laugh in a comedy sense, but laugh in the sense that politicians will never cease to amaze you, Gbenga. While he was asked a few questions, and then he said, who is that? Who is that person? The FCT Minister said, who is that person? And he said, you remember Dele we say, that's publisher? Oh, I don't know him. I've never met him. I don't know him.
I remember that. I remember that.
You know, and when he said, while he said that, what came after that was Chief Dele Momodu responding by putting a picture of both of them on his social media page, where they both sat down and they were giggling or laughing at something. And he said, I mean, take a look at this. He also threw his own jab at the FCT Minister, speaking tough about him, not, you know, he said,
I mean, he's standing behind the president, that without the president, he will not be that powerful.
Anyway, so far so good. The FCT Minister has dismissed concerns about the coalition, not just him, the SA to the president, that's a special advisor to the president, has also spoken. Now, he spoke yesterday as soon as we were wrapping up the show. He said, listen, that Nigerians should not worry. In other words, there's no sense of worry about the coalition.
He feels it's not a big deal.
I'm talking about Mr. Bayo Ononuga. Yeah, he did put out a message yesterday, just right before we finished the show, and he did a long list of write-up, just telling Nigerians, basically, you know what, don't mind these people who have come together. Let's just focus and let's move on. But that's it. So the FCT Minister has spoken. The presidency has also reacted to the coalition, and we've seen a lot that's going to happen in between. But that's our first story on Wake Up Conversations this morning. Olive joins us again. They said you were behind the scenes, and
Olive, thank you for the great work.
Technical work. I did see her on the pole. She tried, because the rain was, so you had to ensure.
You see me on the pole, that can be misconstrued.
That you had to.
I was not
no,
on
I mean
the pole.
Network. I mean,
no, I'm not an engineer, you know, but I'm very.
But Gbenga said you do different things.
I do different things from the production aspect, is what you meant to say. Not
because remember yesterday, you can't be a broadcaster and you don't know how to fix.
No. There are different aspects of broadcasting. We are not all broadcast engineers. Call the engineers, let them come
exactly.
and present.
Thank you so much. My learned July.
Call somebody like Tunde Raji, let him come and present.
Like who?
Tunde Raji.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Good to have you guys. I can see that the conversations have started. We started off with the Minister of the FCT dismissing the coalition, saying it is a coalition of let me get the exact word, of failed politicians. You know, he took this at a lot of them.
A lot of people. They were just collecting.
Everybody collects. Let me read a few of them. He said, he said, no. I heard David Mark say that they want to rescue Nigeria, that Nigerians are not happy. But the man was Senate President for 8 years and Nigerians were happy. There was no single project in Otukpo, not one. He was flying helicopter to Otukpo. Nigerians were not angry then, but they are angry now. He moved on from, he even said that David Mark, as the leader of the PDP, did not win his election, but that his daughter, who was running under the APC, won the House of Representatives. He now went to Amechi. He said Amechi was minister. He took Chinese loans and made Nigeria so indebted to China. So Nigerians were happy then, he asked. Why, when you were in power, Nigerians were happy, but the moment you are no longer in power, Nigerians are not happy. he asked a very valid question about Nigeria Air with Hadi Sirika. I said, I saw Hadi Sirika. What happened to Nigeria Air? Which is a very valid question.
Mr. Wike just made Bayo Onanuga's work easier yesterday. He did his work for him. Yeah. And if you're factually speaking, I mean, it's not far from the truth.
There's a lot. If I'm going to go back to Bayo Onanuga's tweet, we do not have it there on the screen yet, but Bayo Onanuga said some members of the hijacked ADC, he called it the hijacked ADC, who were reported as members of the APC, left the APC years and months ago. Let the public not be deceived by the opposition's narrative about the irrelevance or whether the APC will mourn their departure. And then he went on to break down. He said Rotimi Amaechi so left the APC in 2022 after losing the presidential primary to President Tinubu. Done. Boubacar Malami, the former Attorney General, has never hidden his estrangement from the APC since Tinubu assumed leadership and since he lost the governorship bid in Kebbi. And then he went ahead to mention Hadi Sirika, now in the ADC.
He broke it down.
Is facing trial for contract splitting and other allegations. The renegade, he called him renegade, Raoul Faregbeshola, committed anti-party activities in the last interim official election and was expelled as an unfit APC member. Then he goes ahead to mention others. And then lastly, just to wrap things up from the special advisor to the president, he says, my advice to Nigerians, keep your eyes wide open. A political party with no clear agenda or ideology, whose members are united only by their hatred for President Tinubu, cannot be good for our country. It will only set us back by decades.
So Nigerians should keep their eyes open, look at scrutinize the coalition, and at the same time, while their eyes is open, also beam their searchlight on the ruling party and ensure that they deliver on their promises. Yeah, so I guess what is good for the goose is good for the gander. In the words of Orisha Femi, one of the nicest poets I've ever come across in Nigeria, he said, what is good for the goose is good for the ganga.
But I think what this thing points or reminds us is the fact that when you look at Nigerian politicians, it's almost impossible to see one that is spotless. Of course, we're not asking for a saint, but it's almost like you can hang one thing or the other on them during their time in office. That is the one thing that is very...
You know, the one that shocks me the most is Hadi Sirika.
Of the Nigeria
Let's go to another one.
Hadi Sirika is the one that shocks me the most.
Why is he shocking you?
He's a free man. If he committed a crime, the EFCC would arrest him.
So the question
and he will
now
face trial. So I think that shock should go to the authorities for enabling impunity. Because, I mean, left to him, he'll say, look, I have no case to answer. If I was wanted, I wouldn't be free, a free man today, if I had questions to answer. So you should go back to the authorities.
Okay, let's move on. Still looking at politicians. This time around, it is a political aide, Tumbo Sun Awe. He's a political aide to the senator representing Ondo North Senatorial District, Ondo State, Olajide Ipinsagba. He has resigned, citing the payment of a 20,000 naira salary.
That's below the minimum wage.
No. You can't call that one below the minimum wage. Below the minimum wage would be like maybe 50, 55.
This is what you call below the skyline.
This one, the salary is looking for oil. Because, first of all...
But you have a nice title. Aide to senator.
As per packaging now?
Yes, no.
Why?
Executive
aide. So if you look through the story or him detailing what had happened, he said he was appointed ward liaison officer for, a region in the East Local Government area. He described the monthly remuneration, of course, as a far cry from the minimum wage. He then goes back to tell us how destiny brought them together in 2006 when his senatorial bid was birthed with the caption Concept 2007, that he served as the secretary of the campaign structure in Ondo North Senatorial District. He now said he highlighted that his long-standing relationship with the lawmaker, tracing back to 2006, after serving as secretary, he recalls serving as a personal assistant when this senator held a government position under the late Governor Olusegun Agagu. He expressed dismay at the stagnation in his earnings despite the rising cost of living. So my question is, if you started working with him in 2006, and this is 2025, make it make sense. How is he earning 20,000 naira in 2025?
Even you as an individual, how do you stay with such a person?
You don't really like yourself. Abi? I think that's part of what it is.
But again, let's come back to the person, the senator in question. I mean, it's just commonsensical. How do you, somebody that's been with you all this while, how do you feel given you count 30 days and then you hand over 20,000?
I don't even pay my personal assistant that.
Exactly. It doesn't make sense.
It's really ridiculous because the truth is, when it comes to conversations about salaries and remuneration, while we're arguing for the payment of minimum wage, sometimes it's the people in power, people that have influence and authority, that are the biggest abusers of this. I think at the very least, even if you don't want to pay enough, just let them know that, okay, you know what, let me pay the minimum wage and have this person, except you are...
No, I
don't know.
I find it very hard to believe because, honestly...
20,000 naira.
There must be something going on
So, exactly, sounds very shady, except maybe the senator is not the one in charge. Of course, he's not the one in charge of payment of salary.
But he has access to the senator. He can't voice his...
So that was part of the issue, that he was finding it difficult. I saw that somewhere. He was finding it difficult to, get access to the senator. Yeah, that was part of the issue. You see, he lamented his efforts to seek a salary review were unsuccessful despite several appeals to the senator and efforts to seek audience with the lawmaker. So there may have been a challenge there with seeking audience with him. But regardless of how we put it, it's not a good look. It's it's a very terrible thing to say. 20,000 naira is very unbecoming of... Imagine telling people, what do you do?
Survive?
You now brand yourself on LinkedIn, personal aid to so and so and so, package it. You know, LinkedIn knows how to make like 5 naira popcorn look like 1,000 naira. So you package it well and people will think, man, you are at the seat of power. You are enjoying money. You're not enjoying suffering. And you're
20,000. But even how prudent can you be to manage 20,000?
There's no way. There's no way.
Are you not going to transport yourself? Will you not
except
eat?
Maybe they want
we
to
need a drawing board for this.
We do.
20,
except maybe they want to say...
maybe he wants to ask the experts in
maybe the 20,000. How can we logicalize 20,000?
How can you do what?
Logicalize 20,000. Can we say...
For a month?
Yeah.
Just go and sleep in your house.
No, so maybe he's not going to work every day. Maybe he's working from home and all he does for him is, oh, I'll show up once in a month.
Well, there are two sides to this story from my end.
The senator side.
One, there are people who naturally are leeches. They would, because they know you as my uncle, and therefore the uncle is now the governor or has a seat in power, they will follow the uncle anywhere he goes to. Follow, and then they will tag along. They will do jobs for the uncle, the relative or the brother. They will run errands. They will buy their mala. They will join the campaign. They will go and print. They will do everything.
So you're thinking he's not an official employee of the senator?
That is one.
It would be nice to see his employment letter. Exactly.
That is one. Now, there are other instances where, while in the process of doing that, he may have had an opportunity to meet with, in quotes, the politician, who may be related or may have been a family friend or so on. I'm just looking at all aspects because I've seen it before. And then in the process, the person will say, Joe, let me see how I can, please consider me. I'll say, okay, call so person, follow him, just support him as an assistant. So indirectly, I'm supporting somebody, an aide who works closely to the politician.
Yeah.
Invariably, I feel, okay, that means I too am an aide to the what? To the governor.
Aide of aid.
Exactly, aide of aid. That's one aspect. And in the process, when you are at that level, you don't expect to call on the politician and just see him at any time and say, hey, I want to see you. Remember, he hasn't. So I think that's one. I'm just saying. I'm just thinking, because when you are at that level, then the politician doesn't owe you. He feels rather he feels he's doing you a favor.
Yeah, they just
to have you around.
Just take something and to support.
And then he feels that there's also this story that if you are closer, of course, you know those who are very those close to the president now, they may not be appointed or employed directly by the presidency. But because they are close to the president's son, and they work with the president's son, and they stroll into Aso Rock whenever the son says, let's go. So they might decide to give themselves. Have you not seen?
People make complimentary cards.
Exactly. Have you not seen them? When I was growing up in Surulere, I mean, in Surulere, they have cards. They have complimentary cards.
So that means someone like
they'll tell you. They'll do
complimentary
cards. Friend of the first son.
Exactly. They have cards. They'll tell you, oh, hi, my name is Gbenga, or my name is Joe.
Use Joe.
Okay,
yes.
okay. Let me use somebody else. My name is Andrew. And they say, okay, how are you? And they're well dressed. They're always well dressed, you know. And then they just give you their card and say, and on the card you see Office of the Presidency. And what do? They tell you they can get you in if you want to have an interview with the president.
You don't mean it.
They want to meet with the chief of staff. If you have contracts, so they are called AKA bookers. They would, oh, don't worry, they arrange. And what they do is, I mean, I know a story. I have a story, but let's neglect that. And at the end of the day, something has to give. So that they will be able to say, okay, fine, don't worry, but you need to pay some consultation fee. You know? Oh, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
You know the funny thing?
I'm really living under the rock.
You know the funny thing? This same thing is also done abroad. It's also done in America.
They call it lobbying.
Yes, that's what they call it. They just go around, they're well dressed, as long as they have access.
I know of lobbying unofficially, but the idea that people would even go as far as printing a complimentary card
it's part of it.
Oh yes, they do that. So in this case, I'm looking at this case looking similar.
I gravitate more towards Joe's line.
So because 20,000 is
ridiculous.
Who would do that?
Even the most menial job, you can't pay people 20,000. People that do day jobs at construction sites, if you have to put their salary in a monthly band, is more than 20,000. 20,000.
Of course. So I'm thinking that
because of that,
I would going on. I may be wrong, but we'll wait for the politician to equally speak out. I think that's what it's looking like. By the way.
Okay. Let's go to something that some other people, a category, have called
shocking,
ridiculous.
And I can't wait for Monday to do a which way Nigeria on this.
Right.
Yes,
all right.
When I saw the circular, it was heartbreaking. They say charity. You know, charity, not charity bus stop in Oshodi, but the real charity begins at home. And this story just shows how we are just paying lip service to the concerns of the Nigerian Medical Association and all the health workers, because the federal government, we have a death of medical practitioners. We're complaining about brain drain, we're complaining about working conditions, and in all of this, the federal government deems it fit, after the government had already, I don't know what is it with Saint Lucia, a population of 200,000, and the government just bending backwards to make them so happy. The government had already offered Saint Lucia students a scholarship to any Nigerian university of their choice. And now, it didn't stop there. The government is saying they are going to deploy medical workers to Saint Lucia in New Deal. Please help us make sense of this.
So let's tell you what it is. It is a technical manpower assistance agreement with the government of Saint Lucia that is paving the way for the deployment of skilled Nigerian professionals to the Caribbean nation as part of efforts to deepen South-South cooperation and reconnect with the African diaspora. All right. So there are a certain number of people who are going, you know, they're going to be leaving the country to go and work as doctors in Saint Lucia. But first of all, there was a circular that was going around. I don't know if we have a copy of the circular.
Yeah, from the Nigerian Medical Association.
Yes, we can put it up. If we don't, I'm just going to explain.
That's it on the screen.
All right, it's a press release from Nigerian Medical Association that was released on the 3rd of July, 2025.
Yeah, and the header says exporting they use doctors while undermining the welfare at home is inexcusable. NMA reacts to President Tinubu's agreement to send Nigerian doctors to Saint Lucia. The Nigerian Medical Association expresses deep concern and dismay at the federal government's recent agreement to deploy Nigerian doctors and other healthcare professionals to Saint Lucia. This announcement comes at a time when Nigerian doctors are grappling with systemic neglect, poor salaries, withheld allowances, and the release of a controversial salary circular that undermines their welfare and professional dignity. They went ahead to say that they want to remind the federal government that Nigerian doctors have been suffering, working and serving Nigerians, with many doctors leaving, of course, the country due to poor remuneration, chronic delays in payment of medical residency training fund, non-implementation of previously negotiated welfare packages and agreements, hazardous working conditions without commensurate risk allowances, lack of universal implementation of the CONMES salary structure of many of the doctors. Only yesterday, on July 2, 2025, the NMA issued a press release demanding that the government address its grievances within a 21-day window. The NMA requests that the government withdraw and replace the misleading NSIWC circular, honor all outstanding collective bargaining agreements, resolve outstanding allowances and correct distortions in the pay structure, and protect the professional autonomy and dignity of Nigerian doctors. Bottom line, they went ahead. If you go further down, you see comparison
that's a very important part. So let's scroll down to the
paid doctors,
comparison of salaries. Exactly.
Per annum in
so it's not like it's everybody. So look at the salary paid in Saint Lucia by Saint Lucian government. 131.7 million naira
per annum.
7 million per annum, right? Of course, and I'm guessing that we're doing it based on our naira equivalent so that we can see. So it's 131.7 million naira per annum. Then salary to be paid by Nigerian government to Nigerian doctors to serve in Saint Lucia, 40.8 million naira per annum. Whereas the highest salary paid by the Nigerian federal government to employed doctors, 11.9 million naira per annum. Signed by Dr. Benjamin Abu, Secretary General of the Nigerian Medical Association. So, on the face of it, some people would think, oh, it's a great idea because a number of these doctors were going to leave anyway. So it's a great idea to get them settled in another country. They will probably scramble for it and japa. But if we're being honest with ourselves, this is very unfair to Nigerian doctors. Every other day, we're seeing the resident doctors doing protests. We're seeing protests in one of the, medical centers, one or another. It's almost a given when you meet a Nigerian medical personnel that they're planning to leave the country. Last month, I was ill and I went to a hospital. And I didn't ask the doctor, are you leaving? I tweaked the question. So I asked the doctor, when are you leaving Nigeria? The doctor laughed and said, why did you ask that? I said, because it feels like all of you are leaving. He said, well, next year. So it's almost, for them, when you ask them what is the Nigerian dream of a Nigerian doctor, the Nigerian dream of the average Nigerian doctor now is to go abroad, which
and
is
it's because of things like this.
And
this
many of them don't want
really
to even
help.
go. Like, it's not like they genuinely want to go and live and work abroad, but it's just they don't have the facilities to be able to live a
And the government doesn't seem
life.
to pay any attention to their concerns. I mean, you can see the list of demands, and they're very reasonable. Training, fulfillment of agreements they had agreed upon in the past, and just keeping their own end of the deal, but it's too much of a big deal for the government to focus on. And it's gone to a very critical level now. And then how do you, knowing the sorts of problems you have at home, propose this?
So it's not even just money, it's also infrastructure. Last year, I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago, where we had the young doctor who got crushed in the elevator, right? A number of them recounted their experiences living and working as resident doctors there, how sometimes they wouldn't have water, they would climb to how many floors. How do you expect somebody in that state of mind to be able to give the best medical care to their patients? And we're very quick sometimes to shout, oh, you saw the Hippocratic Oath. They also have, doctor has to be well to be able to give the best of themselves to their patients. We've not really prioritized our medical doctors as a whole. And what this is saying, whilst it may have been with the best of intentions, what this is saying to the medical doctors inadvertently is saying to them that, your service at home is not as important. So we're prioritizing those who are going to serve. And in all other things being equal, this wouldn't have been a bad idea to foster cooperation between both countries, right? It wouldn't have been a bad idea. The reason why it is a bad idea is because the doctors at home have been crying, have been complaining about the quality of their lives, they've been protesting. We're in different parts of the country. We're always having one resident doctor strike, staff union strike, this one strike within the medical space. And I think that this is something that the government should look into. We don't have enough doctors. You go to the hospital, even the government facilities, the government-owned hospitals, you go there, there are massive queues. People are waiting. And you recounted your own experience about going to see the doctor, and then the doctor telling you, my head, I'm hungry.
he had to take a break. He said, please, after I attend to you, I just need to go and sleep. I have not slept since morning. And people were outside there shouting, blah, 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 blah. One doctor. The World Health Organization says, highlights that at least every country should have one doctor to 600 patients, basically, maybe two in a year. Nigeria has a ratio of one doctor to 9,000 to 12,000
Actually, I was going to say 10,000 and more.
Nigeria has that ratio, which shows that we are in dire straits. We are in a critical situation. While we're going through the Nigeria Democracy Day, we had two medical practitioners who came here live, and every single thing they said would actually bring out goosebumps from your body, because you'll be thinking to yourself, okay, what if this happens? Like we've usually said on the show, and every now and then.
One emergency.
Yes, one emergency
away
from death or complete bankruptcy. Complete. Now, look at the letter, the communique put out by the Medical Association. One of the things they mentioned was that, and it's shocking. It's shocking that when some Nigerians or some politicians say that we have a system where it's bare lip service, and it's starting to look that way. And they say it's a situation where people are just propagandists. They're just pushing narratives that are not true. It's been confirmed by the NMA. I hope you saw that in the letter. That the so-called increase and review of salary you people had promised, which was made mention by this same administration just last year or so on, they've not seen it. So you know that the people are not doing well, people are not, Nigeria has a deficit in medical practitioners. Then we go and promise. I don't know what to say. See, maybe we'll have this conversation in the course
maybe
of the
the
show.
logic of the government
let's have it.
is that they're going to leave anyway, so we might as well encourage them and support their leaving.
To the detriment of the people that
Let
we
us
serve.
fix the home, right? It's important to fix the roof at home rather before doing favors.
Let's just take it that maybe they were
important.
excited, so they make that statement out of excitement.
I don't think it was
Just
out
like
of excitement.
Out of excitement.
the,
Oh, you
the
know what?
scholarship to Nigerian University.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, out of excitement. You want to give them
But this
scholarship.
is a very
When
serious.
their
So
school
what
is-
I'm saying,
their
what I
school
think
is fantastic.
they're not. I don't think they overtly did it in bad faith, but it has really come out to look like
the optics.
You know, the optics
It's
don't
terrible.
look good for the
Olive, I
government.
don't know how to describe it, but I think whatever it was to be mentioned or done in good faith, it's wrong. It kind of like reminds me of what we heard. Subsidy is gone immediately. It's like there's this quickness, there's this speed of let's just you know what, let's just do something. Let's put a groundbreaking statement out. So everybody would it would shatter all ceilings. Everybody would be like, ooh.
And the
that's
truth is,
exactly
we're
what we
not
stopped.
trying to be those persons that would see everything wrong to nitpick on. If we see something that is good and beneficial for Nigerians, of course we'll applaud that. But our responsibility is to amplify the voices of Nigerians and their daily complaints. We'll come back to this. Let us know your thoughts on YouTube at News Central TV. Drop your chat in the chat box and we'll take it. But now let's share with you what the headlines are this morning. Joe, you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, just before you go to our top story, we just want to commiserate and share our condolences to the former Nigerian goalkeeper and legend.
Yes.
Peter Rufai.
Yesterday was such a dark day, really.
Yesterday wasn't good.
That Thursday was trending on X.
Jota as well, who died in the car crash while we ended. Peter Rufai also followed through. They said
At
he died
61.
of an
He's been
illness.
battling a long illness.
Our heart goes out to his family. Apparently, we'll try as much as possible to see how we can reach out to the family, but please do accept our condolences here.
And to the whole of Nigeria, because he was a gift to the country. So
Yeah, it was.
It's really
In the history of Nigeria, it has to be the most, one of the most popular, very iconic goalkeeper.
Yes.
Very sad.
May he so
Rest in peace, Dodo Mayana.
All right, let's now bring you the top stories this morning on Breakfast Central. This morning on Breakfast Central, Labour Party gives Peter Obi 48 hours to resign. Abure, of course, is a champion in this movement. ADC coalition move sparks controversy. We're taking the reactions to this. ADC ESCO leaders step down as coalition leaders take over. ADC new structure has been formed. The FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, diverts area councils IGR to settle salaries amid teachers' strike.